Hello and welcome to One Trinity Place in San Antonio, Texas, as we're here for a midweek game between the University of Concordia, Texas, and the Trinity University Tigers. Hello, everybody. I'm Cole Isaacson, joined alongside Luke Terry. And Luke, the Tigers coming in off a sweep in conference play. We'll see what they can do here against Concordia.
Yeah, and another midweek matchup against these Tornadoes coming down from Austin, playing this time around in San Antonio. The last time out, it was the Tornadoes that got the victory in this matchup, spoiled Trinity team that was coming off another successful weekend at that point in time, was trying to gain some momentum, and of course, Concordia was able to put an end to that.
As the leadoff man for the Tornadoes is Julian Swift. Swift starting his 26th game, over 100 at-bats on the year. As they say, he checked his swing to make it 1-1. Hitting .352 on the year. He leads the team in batting average, and he comes in with a hitting streak of 8 in a row. Spokey misses that to make it 2-1. The wind going to be a consistent factor today in San Antonio. And up and inside, and he hits Swift. So the leadoff man reaches by the hit by pitch.
Yeah, and really above all else, I think the biggest concern with Bokey on the mound this season has been the hit by pitches surrendered. That's now his 8th on this campaign, and while it doesn't seem like a egregious number, it's been pretty consistent across his outings this season. And first at bat of the game for it to end in that capacity, not the best of signs. Never want to see that leadoff runner on, especially when it comes from just a lack of control.
Now Aaron Gomez in the batter's box for Concordia, fouls that one off to make it 0-2. Gomez hitting .214 on the year. But he hit .336 last season, so definitely worse in that department. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 3, first strikeout of the day for Michael Bokey.
And it's just so odd, the dichotomy of Michael Bokey's performances on the mound for this Trinity team. I'm talking pregame with you, Cole. We were trying to figure out his 5th start of the season. How could we forget his 15th strikeout performance against DeSales? This is a guy that obviously can go out on the mound and have and demonstrate just elite control of the baseball. But then at times he struggles with the command, and of course has put now 8 runners on base because of hit by pitches on this season. 2 very different versions you can see of Michael Bokey in just one game here, in just one inning, one batter to the next. I think for all the Tiger fans watching at home, we're all hoping for this version right now that's throwing a lot of strikes.
As Bokey fires that one in to make it 1-1. Runner on first, 1 out in the inning here on this Tuesday night. University of Concordia, Texas coming in just north of here from Austin. These two teams, common opponents in midweek games like this. Concordia being in the American Southwest Conference just makes a lot of sense scheduling-wise. That pitch is high to make it 2-1. Wind blowing directly in from left field, kind of the opposite direction of where it usually is. Pitch misses and gets away from the catcher riding. Throw to second will not be in time, so the Tornadoes have a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, it was a pretty long pause from Swift over there at first base. I think he saw that ball get by Riding initially, but recognized that Riding got a little bit of leather on it, didn't roll all the way to the backstop. Made it a little bit closer. Riding, I think, also assumed that he had no chance at a throw down to second. All of a sudden, he flipped his eyes around. The runner was only about halfway down the baseline.
Foul ball makes it a full count. Foul back near us, and we'll do it again. Bokey deals. And fouled off again.
And a 3-2 count. Already a runner on in scoring position for the Tornadoes right now. Certainly don't want to mess around too significantly with a 3-hole hitter. A good opportunity to drive something in, get an early lead for Concordia. If you're Boki, I think you just rely pretty heavily on that breaking ball, try and finish right around the zone, but nothing over the middle of the plate.
That's strike 3. Colby Christensen goes down looking, and there's 2 outs on the board for the Tigers.
And I don't know if this one qualifies as an announcer's jinx, Cole. It does catch a lot of the plate, but does the intended job. Spin on that one just enough to catch Christian looking. And big second out here in the first for Michael Boki on the mound.
And the pitching coach, Dave Smith, coming out for an early meeting. We've seen a wide range of how long Boki has gone into a game. We saw him go 2 innings against ETBU in a start earlier in the year, and then his last appearance went 6 innings against Schreiner, and we've also seen him in the start you mentioned against DeSales, 15 strikeouts through 7. So it's pretty much dealer's choice. We'll see how far Boki can go into his outing today. So far, 2 outs on the board and a runner on second. And Julian Swift. Meeting adjourned, and Dave Smith will head back to the dugout. Matthias Riding heads back behind the dish, and we're ready to get back going. This Boki will now work against Kalen Clark, the junior, making his 11th start of the season. And he takes ball 1. Clark hitting .222 on the year. Played in the game against Trinity on March the 19th. Had a hit, a run, and a walk in that outing. Has to duck under that one, and it's 2-0.
And more often than not, when Boki does lose these pitches, it seems as if he's consistent in doing so arm side, as again, right-handed hitter up at the plate, having to duck out of the way of that one.
In for strike 1. Boki still finds himself behind 2-1. So that runner on second for Concordia. Trying to take the early lead here in San Antonio. In for strike 2.
And really right there looks like back-to-back breaking ball pitches that he's just using as more or less of a get-me-over, trying to find the zone after falling behind 2-0, as you mentioned, Cole, and right now uses it incredibly successfully.
2-2 pitch. High, and another full count for Boki.
And with 2 outs now on the board, even though you have that runner out there in scoring position, just that prospect of getting out of the inning right here with 1 more strike, I think leads you to believe he can be a little bit more aggressive.
Fouled off, we'll do it again. Three-two pitch. Boki trying to take us to the bottom of the first. Grounded foul down the third base line, and Clark will see another.
And Boki doing a nice job, not giving anything too significantly over the plate. He's catching just the corners at the moment. Clark's doing a nice job in the batter's box, responding in his own right and just battling these pitches off any way he can.
And ball 4. Some surprise here in the stadium at that call, and we'll have to see it on the replay.
Yeah, looked like a really good spot from Boki right here. This one certainly starts a little bit further outside than the pitches we saw in the previous at-bat to Christian, specifically the one that caught him looking for out number 2.
Grounded up the middle, a base hit. 1 run coming around, it will score. And the Tornadoes take a 1-0 lead here in San Antonio.
And a pretty brutal transition from one at-bat to the next. It looked like Michael Boki was just about to get out of this inning with that breaking ball we just took another look at. Starts off this next at-bat with a pitch down in the zone. Just a nice piece of hitting right there. Morrow able to send that one back through the middle, not trying to do too much with that pitch down.
So an RBI single for Morrow as Boki fires strike one. It was Julian Swift who came in to score the run. Now Boki will have to continue in this inning, working in an 0-1 count. One around and it's 0-2. Concordia taking a 1-0 lead here at Trinity. Still some work to do with runners on. Just outside, 1-2.
Yeah, similar to that miss that put a runner on in a two-out situation just a couple of moments ago. I think it's better that that one remains consistent now after the first run has come across because of that call earlier.
In for strike three. Second strikeout of the inning for Michael Boki. He gets out of it, but Concordia gets a run. It's 1-0 Tornadoes. We'll see the Tigers up to bat when we come back. Welcome back for the bottom of the first here in San Antonio, Texas. You see the Tigers lineup on your screen. Jack Peterson to lead it off, followed by Caleb Woodward, Colt Harris, Alex Monson, the DH. Brett Jones getting his first start of the year, followed by Max Milligan, Matthias Riding doing the catching, Corson Hastings, and then Cam Champness at short. And pitching for the Tornadoes, Jake Lancaster making his first start of the year, his sixth appearance, comes in with a 1-0 record and a 4.09 ERA. And he has a 1-0 lead to work with already in the bottom of the first. He faces the dangerous Jack Peterson. Peterson hitting .304 on the year, making his 25th start of the season, a slugging of .580. And he takes ball one.
And Lancaster making his first start of the season for the Tornadoes, I think will find it a little bit more favorable that he's playing already with a lead in this one. Obviously a mixed bag when you're a guy working out of the bullpen primarily. But just instills a little bit of extra confidence here. Start the home half of this first inning against a very good ranked Trinity team with a 1-0 lead in your back pocket.
Pitch away, and it's 3-0 to Peterson. Not a guy you want to let on. We've talked a lot about Jack Peterson, his ability to steal bases. Pitch lands 3-1. Hit into right, it falls, and that ball's going all the way to the corner. Peterson's going to second base, and he will stay there with a stand-up lead-off double for Trinity.
Yeah, and it was a good job by Christian out there in right field getting to this one quickly, but even then, you can see in the bottom left of your screen, just a second, Jack Peterson moving quickly, and he took a big turn at second. Thought he might have a good opportunity to stretch this one into 3, but I think one way or another, Trinity's going to be happy to have their leadoff man already in scoring position, trying to answer that run that Concordia got in the top of this inning.
As now Caleb Woodward, playing in right field today, comes up to bat. He takes ball 1. Woodward's worked his way into the starting lineup and hasn't looked back. This is 13th start of the year in 19 appearances. Works with Peterson on second. Takes strike 1.
And I'm not sure what Caleb Woodward did in his last outing against these Concordia Tornadoes. It might have made his name known, or this Concordia coaching staff might have done their due diligence in scouting this Trinity squad, because the corners are playing very close to the bags right now.
Grounded up the middle to short. And a throw in time for out number 1, but Peterson takes third.
Woodward has been a huge threat to lay down bunts and do so for base hits all season long in his first campaign in San Antonio. Effectively, the same result right there, put something over to the left side, is able in the process to move Jack Peterson over.
It's now the second baseman, Colt Harris, up to bat. Peterson waiting on third. Harris takes ball 1. Hitting .268 on the year. Slugging of .493. Has 4 home runs on the season. Takes strike 1.
I think it's now 3 consecutive at-bats. Lancaster fell behind in, not majorly in this at-bat, 1-0 before he brought it to 1-1. Jack Peterson's already shown once in this half inning how dangerous this Trinity offense can be when you force opposing pitchers to throw strikes.
Harris works in a 2-1 count. Sac fly opportunity for Trinity. And he takes ball 3, that outside edge. Not being given as a strike.
And again, dangerous position here. Same count where Jack Peterson doubled into that right field corner. You know, Colt Harris is just as dangerous up at the plate.
Fouled off, and that'll bring the count full. Tigers trying to match the run that the Tornadoes mustered in the top of the first. Inside, ball 4, and that'll put runners at the corners.
And ultimately, probably not the worst result in that at-bat from Lancaster. 3-1 count. Mentioned how dangerous this Trinity offense can be. The one thing that might negate that a little bit at the moment is this wind that you referred to earlier, Cole, especially for these right-handed hitters stepping into the batter's box. Wind blowing pretty much straight back into their face, although I think it's going to be a real struggle for any of these hitters, lefty or righty, to try and leave the ballpark here in San Antonio tonight.
As now the DH, Alex Monson up. Monson hitting .361 on the year, slugging of .583. He'll try and build on his strong start to the year. As he takes ball 2.
And Again, Lancaster falling behind against Monson. We've talked about a lot on the broadcast. Someone who's barreled up baseballs very, very well. Felt like a home run, got everything started for him, but since then it's been all line drives off his bat.
Pitch outside, in danger of loading the bases. Still a double play possibility for Concordia. Harris on first, Peterson on third for Monson. Outside, ball 4, and they're filled with cats.
And certainly dangerous from the perspective of Lancaster as a righty throwing to Monson, standing in there in the left-handed batter's box. Advantage Monson in that scenario, and it seemed like it really did have an effect right there. Lancaster pretty consistently missed arm side, trying to stay away from the lefty bat. Don't want anything sweeping across the plate to run into that barrel, but ultimately wasn't competitive in the end and now loads the bases because of it.
Now a full infield meeting for the Tornadoes. 1 out, but still an opportunity to get out of it with a runner on first. As everybody will go back to their positions. And Lancaster will go back to work. He'll face Brett Jones, making his first start of the year at third base. Jones from Boulder, Colorado. An unusual sighting between these two teams, somebody not from the state of Texas. He'll have the first big opportunity in this game. The base is loaded. As he went around, strike 1.
And looked like a breaking ball that just had him fooled a little bit right there. Lancaster using it in a similar way that Bokey did in the top half of this inning, just finding a way to reestablish that release point.
Pitch outside to even the count at 1 apiece. Tigers had a few opportunities like this in their weekend set against St. Thomas. It was hit and miss. Some they cashed in on, enough to win all 3 games. But there were missed opportunities. As Monson puts that into left, it'll fall. Peterson comes around to score. Harris thought about it, but he goes back to third. Base is still loaded, and this game is tied.
And Brett Jones certainly stepped into the batter's box eager in this one. Not a tremendously hard-hit baseball, but I think that plays to his advantage right here. With the infield shaded up the middle, double play depth, there was no way the shortstop Swift was going to get all the way over there. And it was shallow enough in left field that even with Heil trying to charge in on that one, it was going to fall in front of him 100% of the time.
As the left fielder, Max Milligan, takes strike 1. Milligan, part of what's been a depleted outfield for the Tigers. Ty Preston, the usual left fielder, out of this game, as he has been for the last few days. Milligan takes ball 1 to even the count. Maddox McDonald also getting hurt in last weekend's series, so the Tigers pretty thin in the outfield. Milligan getting more starts because of it. See if he can seize this opportunity. Grounded to the pitcher, throws to home for the force out, and there's 2 away. Good play by Lancaster.
Yeah, good job of knocking this one down. First off, looked like he had an opportunity to field it cleanly. As you can see, it hits about halfway out to Lancaster on the mound. But I think one way or another, this bodes well. Stays composed out there on the bump, takes just the easy out and saves the Trinity run from coming across.
As the catcher Matthias Riding steps up to the plate. Bases still loaded. Tigers able to tie this game at 1 apiece, but there's 2 outs on the board now. Pitch is high to even the count at 1-1. Riding, a first year, getting the start at catcher. That spot usually occupied by Nick Lazara, but Lazara getting a well-deserved day off. Pitch misses, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, an interesting day when you look at this offensive lineup, Cole. I think depends on how you look at it. You could argue there's upwards of 5 guys in there that aren't normal installments in this offensive lineup.
Pitch lands, and it's even at 2-2. Concordia trying to do everything they can to keep this game tied early. Bases loaded, deuces are wild. Close pitch, no call, and it's 3-2.
And from our vantage point, behind this one and about 20 feet high, it looked like that one was in the zone, and on the replay, another great look. Not sure exactly where that one could have missed.
Runners go. There's strike 3. Writing goes down looking, and they leave him loaded. Tigers strand 3 base runners, but even this game at 1-1, top of the second when we come back on Tiger Network. Top of the second, the catcher Jess Lawler leaning it off for Concordia. This Tornado offense able to give the team a 1-0 lead, but this game has been tied by Trinity. Jack Peterson scoring to even the game at 1-1. As that first pitch from Bokey misses at Lawler's feet. Lawler, a sophomore from Damon, Texas. Fouls that off to make it 1-1. Hitting .231 on the year. And trying to get this inning off to a good start for Concordia. Check swing, but a called strike to make it 1-2. That's strike 3. Lawler goes back to the dugout. 3 strikeouts on the day for Michael Bokey, 1 away in the inning.
And no real formal punch out from the home plate umpire right here. Takes a minute on that one. I think it all left us wondering. It was a big, sweeping breaking ball from Michael Bokey right there. Another one with significantly more vertical drop than horizontal movement. Ultimately, a great pitch.
As the third baseman Arms up to bat. Working with 1 away and nobody on. As the wind continues to rip in, and a hit by pitch. Bokey got him, and Arms takes his trip to first base.
And really, in trying to avoid this one, he put himself right into the path of the baseball. A bit more of a delayed announcer's jinx on this one. Talked about it in the first inning. Felt like more often than not when Michael Bokey lost control of the baseball and it found the body of these opposing hitters, it was usually breaking balls lost arm side.
Bunt dropped down, a good throw by Jones to get the out at first, but the sacrifice is complete as Concordia has a runner on second.
So almost mirror images in each of these innings. Michael Boki putting a runner on by the hit by pitch, and not so long after that same runner advancing 90 feet into scoring position. This time it takes a little bit of help. A small ball played right there by Concordia, who's trying to quickly get that run back.
And another hit by pitch, the third of the game. As Swift's taken two of them, he'll take another trip to first.
And you mentioned previously, Cole, this is probably not exactly how Swift wanted to get on base today, but he's been so successful at doing so. I think no matter what, he's going to be happy with the fact that his on-base streak continues here in San Antonio.
He leads the team in on-base percentage. That's going to up that average. Maybe not the way he would want, but still increasing his lead in that category as the number 2 hitter Gomez up. Gomez, a strikeout victim of Boki in the first inning. 2 runners aboard with 2 down. Ball in the dirt. And it's 2-0. Concordia trying to take back the lead in what's already been a back and forth affair. Pitch low, and it's 3-0 in danger of loading the bases.
And right in, doing everything he could right there, trying to frame this one and bring it back up.
Strike 1.
Still a dangerous spot against just the 2-hole hitter in this Concordia offense. 2 outs on the board, probably the most significant number at the moment.
And that's ball 4, and the bases are filled with Cyclones.
And Boki continues to be right in the middle of this offense for Concordia, Texas. But again, 2 outs on the board. If you can just find that control a little bit more, already has a couple of strikeouts on the evening.
Grounded to second, play made by Harris, and he throws to first to end the inning. So the Tornadoes leave them loaded as we head to the bottom of the second on Tiger Network. Michael Boki gets out of the jam. Bottom of the second in San Antonio. Lancaster back on the mound for a second inning of work as he faces the first baseman, Corson Hastings, who takes ball 1. Hastings hitting .243 on the year, making his 10th start of the season. And he possesses an on-base percentage of .348. Of course, Hastings pressed into more duty with the injury of Brandon Nelson. 2-0 count. Outside to make it 3-0.
And both of these offenses have already found a way to load the bases at least once in this game, and based on the start of this bottom half of the second, feels like it's a theme that's going to continue over the course of the night here. Midweek baseball in San Antonio, more often than not, more of an offensive affair than a pitcher's duel.
Hastings heads to first base by way of the walk, and it brings up the shortstop and the 9-hole hitter, Cam Champness. Jack Baker, the regular shortstop, getting the day off. Champness making his third start of the season, hitting .364 through now his 8th appearance. So we'll see how the Tigers play this. Runner on first, see if they try and bunt him over or just let Champness swing the bat. Runner goes. And strike called. Hastings gets a stolen base. I was waiting to see if that was fouled off or not. They say it was not.
Yeah, it looked like there was some sort of appeal from Lawler behind the dish right there. He took a look back at the home plate umpire, just motioned kind of vaguely, wasn't trying to swipe his hands together as if to signal a foul ball. But I think he wanted some sort of interference on that play. Just didn't happen to get it right there.
So now the runner on second, a 1-2 count for Champness. Trying to set up the top of the order, already with the runner in scoring position. And they throw off the backside, close play, but not in time. Hastings able to dive back to the bag.
Yeah, and a pretty delayed dive at that. Felt like Lancaster was fully disengaged, already throwing back before Hastings decided to make that move. Certainly can afford to take a couple more steps, but also probably played a little safer and diving back sooner.
Swing and a miss. That's strike 3, 1 out on the board as Champness heads back to the dugout.
Yeah, an unfortunate break for Champness right there. Had an opportunity to do a job after Hastings went ahead and stole second in his own right. Unfortunately, just couldn't get the bunt down and move him over the extra 90 feet. I don't think Trinity can be too upset. I think this was their original goal, get Hastings over in scoring position with still 1 out on the board, and that's where they find themselves.
As Peterson fouls that off, the center fielder, 1 for 1 today. He doubled the first time he was up. Also came around to score the Tigers' only run of the game so far. Now an RBI opportunity for the leadoff hitter. Outside, 1-1. Fouled back and out of play. Brings the count to 1-2.
And a much different result product in this at-bat so far from Lancaster. Doing a really nice job getting ahead of Jack Peterson in this one. Now in a position where it's going to be a lot harder to hurt him right here.
In the dirt, 2-2. Peterson with a .473 on base percentage. He's trying to help that number by getting on and putting the Tigers in a good position to take their first lead of the ball game.
I think more than anything else, that number alludes to how well he works at bats.
Take strike 3 down the chute. And there's 2 outs in the inning, back-to-back strikeouts from Lancaster.
Cole, it's just disheartening. I feel like very consistently in this broadcast, I'm being proven wrong. As soon as I say Jack Peterson works counts very, very well, strikeout looking on the outside part of the plate. But I think more than anything right there, it's just a good job from Lancaster. That time, being able to hit that spot outside part of the plate to the left-handed hitter, something that he struggled a little bit when Trinity scored that first run in the home half of the first.
As the right fielder, Caleb Woodward, up to bat, working with a runner on seconds and 2 outs in the inning. Hit in the air to shallow center. And the catch is made to end the inning. So the leadoff man reaches for the Tigers, but they can't do anything with it. We'll head to the third in San Antonio. It's 1-1 between Concordia and Trinity. Top of the third, Kalen Clark set to lead things off for Concordia. The DH hitting in the cleanup spot tonight. Walked the last time he was up, and he takes ball 1 from the starter Michael Boki in his third inning of work. Grounded to Boki. He's going to have to pick this up, but he flips to first for out number 1.
And doing a nice job of just helping himself out right here. I wasn't sure how he was going to go about getting this ball to first base, but the nice little side arm just push pass right there. Pitches it over to Corson Hastings. Nice job from Boki just fielding his position, trying to get some quick outs here in the bottom, or excuse me, I should say the top of the third inning. And trying to give a little life to the concept of some length in his start tonight.
As Morrow, the first baseman, takes strike 1. He's 1 for 1 today, has the lone RBI for Concordia. In the dirt, nearly got him, but it doesn't, and it's 2-0.
And this one, not of the breaking ball variety, a little easier to sneak out of the way of.
Hit hard into right, but foul into the Tornado bullpen. Close call from Boki.
It looked like Morrow was certainly sitting on a fastball in that 2-0 count. Was ready to hit it, but maybe just a little bit too eager. Got a lot of barrel on that baseball right there, but was significantly out in front of it. Unfortunately for him, just pulled it right of that foul line.
Hit to left, and Milligan makes the catch close to the warning track for out number 2.
And better timing on this one from Morrow. Sends it the other way and certainly put a drive into it. You're right. Milligan was out there fairly deep in left field. Was shading him the opposite direction. He just drove that one into the left field corner. Milligan, however, plenty of space out there, especially on a day where the wind has changed, but still think that one played an impact on that one, staying in the ballpark in San Antonio.
Is now Milligan's counterpart, Landon Heil, up to bat. Heil takes ball 2. Didn't play in the game against the Tigers back on March 19th, so seeing Trinity for the first time this year. Way inside and 3-0. We'll see if the red light is on for Heil. It is, but he takes ball 4. And a 2-out walk issued by Michael Boki.
Yeah, and a 3-0 count right there. It did look like the red light was on, and the way he paused and stood in the batter's box after that pitch landed felt like he assumed he had taken strike 1 in a 3-0 count. Not entirely sure where that one missed. It was a very competitive pitch from Michael Boki, but perhaps just not wasting any time. Arguably an inevitable end result in that at-bat. Now gets to start with a fresher at-bat and count here, trying to get out of this inning.
As the catcher Lawler takes ball 1 nearly at his feet. Grounded, just foul. Barely skips past the white line as Lawler was already at first base when that call was made.
Yeah, and this is a wise decision from Matthias Writing right here. You can see it on the replay. It's hard to distinguish where that ball's sitting, even from our angle. We're a little to the left of that third base foul line. We couldn't see any of that brown turf between baseball and the line.
Takes pitch outside, 2-1. Reminds me of play I saw in the World Cup where the ball was hovering over the line, but technically was not touching the line because the bottom of it was like, you know what I mean? Because it's circular.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Hard concept to put into words, frankly.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just leave it at that. For our sanity and for the sake of our viewers at home.
But I don't know what the rule is in baseball. If that side of the ball is over the white line, is it foul or is it fair?
I imagine with typically there being chalk out there, if it's not actually touching the line, then it has to be a foul ball.
And swing and a miss. That's strike 3. Foul tip into the catcher's glove to end the inning. Boki allows a base runner, but sends us to the bottom of the third on Tiger Network. 1-1 between Concordia and Trinity. Bottom of the third, Colt Harris set to lead things off for the Tigers as he takes strike 1 from Lancaster, who has settled in quite nicely in his first start of the year.
Yeah, certainly an improvement in the home half of the second. Put in a 0 on the scoreboard, a big outcome there.
Grounded to Lancaster. He flips it to first for out number 1.
But despite that, there was still some traffic on the base path in that home half of the second. Trinity has threatened in both innings. Realistically, both of these teams have had opportunities to break this one open more than a 1-1 scoreline. Feels like this is the only inning where both of these pitchers have had incredibly solid starts, as now Lancaster also gets out number 1 to start the home half of the third.
As now the cleanup hitter in DH, Alex Monson up. Monson walked the first time he was up. And ahead in this 1-0 and now 1-1. It's already a tight game between these two teams, both of them notching a run in the first inning, but nothing since. Pitch away and it's 2-1.
And you have to imagine after the start to this one, now that both pitchers are or have found a way to settle in, how is that going to impact these bats? Largely for this Trinity offense, they didn't have a great chance to swing it. Felt like more often than not, base runners that were on were there because of the walk.
Grounded foul. And it brings the count full.
Now this second time through, a little bit of a better opportunity to swing the bats. You saw real soft contact off the bat of Colt Harris for out number 1 here, and Monson now pushing this one to a 3-2 count.
Fouls off the full count pitch, and he'll see another. The wind continuing to blow in from left field. I mentioned it earlier, the opposite direction of where it usually comes from, usually blows right to left. One game here between Trinity and Concordia, 1 out on the board. 3-2 count to Alex Monson. Tigers out hitting the Tornadoes 2-1, trying to add on to their total. As Monson takes ball 4, close pitch, but he heads to first base.
Yeah, and a good at bat from Monson right there. And realistically, it's the end result that you love more than anything. It was a tight miss on that final pitch. And thinking back to the last half inning, Michael Boki, certainly the benefactor of a backdoor breaking ball to one of the left-handed hitters in this Concordia offense. Lancaster just not getting the same kind of treatment. Unfortunately for him, that one ruled a ball, and Trinity still with an opportunity to threaten here in this inning, just 1 out on the board, has a guy on.
As Brett Jones steps into the plate and fouls that off. Makes it 0-1. Jones singled the last time he was up, drove in Jack Peterson for the only run of the day for the Tigers so far. Another opportunity with a runner on.
And third base coach Deering holding up, I believe it was Colt Harris who rounded hard and ultimately decided to stay put.
Grounded to short, could be 2. Throw to first in time. And it is an inning-ending double play. Swift, the shortstop, makes it happen as he sends us to the top of the 4th on Tiger Network. Top of the 4th in the Alamo City, Matthew Arms leads it off, the senior from Waco, Texas, making his 20th start of the season. Take strike one from Boki, who got out of his last inning of work with only one base runner. 1-1. Boki trying to continue progress he made in that last inning. As that's hit to left, Milligan ranging over. He's trying to run for it, sliding, and the catch not made. But the ball falls harmlessly into foul territory.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a ton of plays like this where that ball's going to drop in either right at the line or right at the line on one side or the other. But with how little space there is out there in the corner, really it takes the option for these outfielders to run all the way to the baseball. Whether or not that one was going to run foul or land in fair territory, it felt like Milligan had to go in there with the slide if he wanted to make a play on it and not just entirely take himself out of this ball game by crashing into the fencing.
Milligan got up okay. We've seen a couple of close calls with the fencing of the bullpens brought in. Not a lot of foul ground out there in left or right field. So that's grounded foul by Arms. Makes the count 1-2. Wind continuing to rip here in South Texas as Arms grounds that foul again. These two teams met not long ago, March 19th in Austin. Concordia taking that game 8-7 over Trinity. Tigers jumped out to a 5-2 lead in that game, but Tornadoes able to come back. As that pitch misses to make it 2-2.
And I think realistically, good idea for Michael Boki right there. Arms at the plate. Nice job of fouling off so many consecutive pitches.
Swing and a miss. That's strike three. Another strikeout for Michael Boki. And there's one away in the top of the fourth.
Go back to that last offering and try and go with that backdoor breaking ball, catch the outside corner like he did in the last inning. Doesn't get the call, but just changes the pace of that at-bat. Comes right back with that fastball up, and Arms, after seeing the change in pace of those couple of consecutive offerings, unable to catch up to that one.
That was Boki's sixth strikeout of this start. He's only pitched 3.1 innings to this point. Of course, we mentioned the start he had against DeSales where he had 15 strikeouts through 7. That was the week after Jackson Tier just tied the program record at 20 strikeouts. And some of us were wondering, hey, maybe how many outs does he have left?
Yeah, and in a game where he only went, I believe, 7 innings, we said previously. I know that pitch count ran up there, but there were some outs left on the board for him to go and get.
Swing and a miss from Segrist, and it's 1-2. In strike three. Boki gets him looking, the 7th strikeout of the day for Michael Boki, and there's 2 down in the 4th.
Yeah, and this is the opposite end of things that we just talked about in the last inning when Lancaster was out on the mound. He struggled to find the zone, put some runners on via the walk. Boki also a little bit of lack of control out there. Maybe put some fear into some of these hitters after hitting 3 guys, some in a little bit more of a painful variety, especially Arms getting hit in the lower leg, even when he was trying to get out of the way of the baseball. And this one backing up Swift and trying to avoid getting hit for a 3rd time. You can see it takes its impact as that last at-bat. Segrist, maybe there was nothing he could do about it, but a ball that very nearly hits him ultimately winds up as just a great front door breaking ball that catches the zone, and he goes down looking as well.
I wonder what Reed Rosales would call 3 consecutive hit by pitches.
I'm sure he's on it. I'm sure it's in the dictionary, his official rule book.
Pitch misses to make it 3-1. Swift has been hit by a pitch his last 2 times up. Trying to reach base in a different way this time. Grounded to third. Throw to first to end the inning. He should have taken the hit by pitch. As we head to the bottom of the 4th, still 1-1 between Concordia and Trinity. You're watching the Tiger Network. Bottom of the 4th, a new pitcher in for Concordia. It's David Matthews as he faces Max Milligan for the 2nd time. Takes ball 1. Matthews usually a starter for Concordia, making his 7th appearance, his first one out of the pen. Comes in with an 0-2 record, an ERA of 6.41. His last appearance was against Latorno, where he gave up 6 earned runs, trying to bounce back from that as Milligan fouls it off to make it 2-1. Two-one pitch. Fouled off. And count is even at 2-2.
And realistically, an interesting decision to throw out a guy that's normally in a starting position. And well, I don't know so closely whether or not that's come in ASC weekend matchups against conference opponents. I have to imagine this is still a pretty valuable arm for this Concordia team. And to see him deployed in relief in what's a 1-1 ball game, just have to wonder and just contemplate what some of the implications of this game is or are for both of these teams.
Ground ball, third base side, and the throw in time for out number 1. Yeah, I did not expect to see David Matthews on the mound today. Looking at his starts, they were coming against opponents in conference play. So obviously, this being a Tuesday game, don't expect to see him on the mound. But I was excited because his name is David Matthews, which is similar to the singer of the Dave Matthews Band, Dave Matthews. So I wanted to make puns, and I was worried that he wasn't going to throw, but here he is.
He's making all your dreams come true on a Tuesday night, Cole. Doesn't get much better than that. Magic happens on Tiger Network.
Pitch high. As the catcher, Matthias Riding up for the 2nd time today. Struck out looking with the bases loaded. Now ahead 2-0. Ground ball And first baseman will take the trip himself for out number 2. So David Matthews, a good start to his inning.
And, of course, allude many times to the fact that this is a Tuesday night midweek game, but at the end of the day, a win's a win, and I have to imagine it would go a long way for Concordia if they could scratch a second one of this 24 campaign against this Trinity team that has, perennially been a champ in the SCAC, a team that makes its way to postseason play. And I think a win over an opponent of this caliber bodes very well for your postseason hopes if you're Concordia.
Concordia comes into this game 13-13. They already have one win against Trinity, trying to complete the season sweep, go 2 for 2. Corson Hastings ahead 2-0. He takes ball 3, another close pitch. And high for ball 4.
Yeah, trying to go in on the hands of the lefty right there. Interesting approach when you have the advantage with that breaking ball. Most other offerings moving away, sweeping across the body and away the hands of Hastings. That time trying to go hard in on the lefties. And I feel like typically it's not a bad approach against these left-handed hitters of Trinity University. And Jack Peterson now standing in the on-deck circle, a guy that really crowds the plate, tries to take that away from opposing pitchers. But you mentioned their 13-13 record goal and the fact that they already have a victory over this Trinity squad. Also important to note that some of the more important matchups in conference play, or at least some of the more difficult matchups in conference play, already checked off the list for this Concordia squad. And while they might not have been incredibly successful in those games against ETBU and against UT Dallas, you imagine that they're probably going to have a little bit more success in the back half of their season and find a way to string together some more consistent victories to make that overall record look pretty solid at the end of the year.
1-1 pitch taken for ball 2. Yeah, you mentioned the record against ETBU, UMHB, and UT Dallas. 0-9 combined in those 3 series, but trying to make it 2-0 against Trinity. That's high for ball 3. As David Matthews in danger of losing back-to-back batters by way of the walk. Strike called, and it fills the count.
And arguably a tougher task against Champness, standing in there in the right-handed batter's box. Advantage with the hitter this time, but Matthews negating it a little bit, hitting a spot on the outside part of the plate right there.
Fouled off, and Champness stays alive. Working with Hastings on first base, 2 down in the inning. What's been a 1-1 game for the last couple of innings. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. And Champness goes back to the dugout. Another 0 put on the board, this one by David Matthews. As Concordia heads back to the dugout like ants marching, we will continue on Tiger Network. Nearly halfway through this one in San Antonio as we're at the top of the 5th. Michael Boki still on the mound for Trinity. As that first pitch is inside for ball 1 to Aaron Gomez. Gomez hitting second today. He's 0 for 1, but walked the last time he was up. Concordia still only with the 1 hit in this game. There was an RBI single by Morrow to give the Tornadoes what at the time was a 1-0 lead. Tigers have since evened this game at 1 apiece. As Gomez works ahead 2-0.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Clearly a pitching change has already been made on this Concordia side. But really, for the duration of this one, there has been an arm up and warming in the Trinity bullpen. It's looked like Jonathan Newman, who has been ready to come in at any moment.
As it looks like they will make that change now. That'll be the day for Michael Boki. He goes through 4 innings of work, only allowing 1 hit and 1 run. A pitching change coming from the campus of Trinity University. We'll take a break on Tiger Network. 1-1 between the Tigers and Tornadoes. New pitcher in the game for Trinity. It's Jonathan Newman, who comes in with a very impressive record of 3-0 and an ERA of about half a run per 9 innings. As he comes in mid at bat to Aaron Gomez, 2-0 pitch, outside ball 3.
And a lot of reasons why Jonathan Newman's numbers have been so good this year. One of the big ones is that he's used that fastball very well and used it to throw a lot of strikes.
Grounded to Champness at short, a bobble, and that'll be an error as Gomez reaches the leadoff man aboard for Concordia.
Yeah, tough break right there as it looked like Jonathan Newman, after his first offering, moved this count to 3-0. Was actually going to find a way to record out number 1 here in the top of the 5th. Tough break. Champness just loses that baseball on the transfer.
Unfortunate timing for the Tigers on that error, as the man up now is Colby Christensen. Christensen making his 24th start of the year, hitting .306, the slugging .565, and the Tigers very aware of that. He hit 2 home runs in their meeting on March 19th. Big reason why the Tornadoes were able to come back in that game. Runner goes. The pitch fouled back towards us, and it's 0-2.
And I think another reason that error hurts so much is because it allows the second hitter in this offense to get aboard, and now Christian operating in the 3 hole has an opportunity to do some more damage for this Concordia offense, and it's really trying to find a way to get going.
0-2 to Colby Christian. And takes ball one, that outside edge not being given all day, and it continues on that pitch.
Yeah, but a very competitive offering right there from Newman. Not a ton that Christian would have been able to do with that one.
1-2 pitch. Hit in the air to center. Peterson ranging back and makes the catch on the warning track. A good play by Jack Peterson out in center field to rob Christian.
Yeah, I think robbery really is the right word right there, Cole. There's a lot to parse through. A very hard hit ball off the bat that just continues to fade into the alley. A long way that Jack Peterson had to go to haul that one in because he was shaded the opposite direction. That's what it looked like off the bat. And then on top of that all, kind of the worst possible time here in San Antonio for that outcome. The sun is setting behind home plate, and Jack Peterson was staring directly back into it as he was trying to locate that baseball. A lot to overcome right there, but he was able to do so, and I think the best defensive center fielders do.
As head coach Tim Scannell comes out to talk to Newman, he'll head back to the dugout. We have also mentioned the wind blowing in from left a few times. That ball trailing the same way as the wind was going. That maybe had an effect on why it was going into the gap. But Peterson able to overcome it. As Clark, the DH, up now. 0 for 1 in this game. Grounded out to Bokey, the pitcher. And is walked. That's popped up. Jones under it, and he makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, an easier job on this skied ball to third base. Jones getting to just move over into foul territory a couple feet and catch it in the shade. An important second out nonetheless, as now the 3-hole and 4-hole hitters retired consecutively, and Newman, trying to overcome that error, will need just one more out to do so.
It won't be an easy out. Chris Morrow up. Swing and a miss, strike one. Morrow, the RBI leader for this Tornadoes team, added on to his total in the first inning. Grounded foul, and it's quick 0-2.
And again, just early on that ball out of the hands of Newman. A wise decision from Newman, throwing an off-speed pitch, what looked like a changeup. To start this at-bat, had Morrow way out in front.
Pitch away, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, changes eye level right there. Not an incredibly competitive miss, but certainly changes the rhythm and pace and really opens up everything, puts it all back on the table.
Runner goes. Hit to shallow left. Jones back, and he makes the catch into the outfield grass to end the inning. We're halfway through this one in San Antonio. It's 1-1. Tigers up to bat when we come back. Bottom of the fifth on the campus of Trinity University. David Matthews back out for Concordia, and he'll face the leadoff man for the Tigers, Jack Peterson. Peterson, who just made a sparkling defensive play in the last half inning. 1 for 2 today, struck out the last time he was up, and has also doubled in this game. Squares up to bunt, but pulls it back for ball 1.
And this Trinity offense, really all it's done here in this one, Cole, is answer the run that Concordia was able to put on the board in the first. Outside of that, not a ton of production in any capacity, especially in the last couple of half innings.
Peterson works ahead 2-0. Rip to right, and it falls into the corner again. A repeat of what he did the first time around. He stays at second for his second double of the game.
And what has been a largely complacent performance here this evening in San Antonio remains true for just about everybody outside of Jack Peterson. Now almost 2 identical doubles that he deposits in that right field corner. And just as soon as I say this offense has been a little stagnant, Jack Peterson provides an answer and a threat to retake a lead, or actually just take a lead for the first time here today.
As Caleb Woodward takes ball 1, with Peterson waiting on second base, nobody out in the inning. Woodward 0 for 2 today. First time he was up, he grounded out to short to advance Peterson in this situation, as he pulls back the bunt to make it 2-0.
One thing that I've been so impressed by Woodward in the batter's box, especially when he's bunting, is just his ability to place it, have an understanding.
As that's bunted down the third base line, throw to first. Not in time. Woodward reaches and runners at the corners with nobody out.
I think one of the things that flies under the radar about this one right here is it's not down for a long time. You just make the assumption that for that reason, out there at third base, picking it up very quickly, Arms is going to have a pretty easy time getting the ball onto first, but it hangs up in the air for so long that in that period, Woodward's able to get a really good jump, and with as much speed as he has, ultimately beats that one out pretty easily.
As we'll have a meeting here in San Antonio, and we'll see if it's all that it is. It is not. The point to the bullpen has been made, and there will be a pitching change in San Antonio. David Matthews will exit this one with runners at the corners in a 1-1 game. Welcome back to San Antonio. New pitcher in for the Tornadoes is Noah Kelly, the senior from Las Vegas, Nevada. Comes into a high leverage situation. 2 runners on for the Tigers in a 1-1 game, and powerful threat Colt Harris up to bat, the number 3 hitter for Trinity. Hit to left, and it falls. Peterson comes around to score, and the Tigers take their first lead of the game. An RBI single from Colt Harris.
Colt Harris not wasting any time right here, understanding that the best pitches he's going to get in this at-bat probably going to be the first couple of offerings. Something catches the zone right off the bat, and off the bat, Trinity grabs the 2-1 lead.
So now Alex Monson up to bat for 3rd time today. Woodward has to dive back to second. He does so safely. You see Monson's numbers on your screen, hitting .361 on the year. 2 at-bats for Monson today, 2 walks. We'll see what he does the 3rd time around with runners on 1st and 2nd. Squares up to bunt, drops it, but foul to make it 0-2, and you would think the bunt out of the picture on this swing.
Yeah, almost a certainty, but more often than not, and I'll leave that door open just a little bit, more often than not all the time, these Trinity hitters are very, very good, even in these 2-strike counts where they're significantly behind.
Ripped to left center, it falls. Woodward comes around. He will score, throw to 3rd in time, and they get Harris, but the Tigers tack on another run. It's 3-1 Trinity.
And we got another one of those heads-up plays at 3rd base by Arms right here. And see Colt Harris trying to stretch this one to 2, very nonchalant. He stands in there as if the ball is not going to arrive and is able to at least get something during that play. 1 out is better than none, but Trinity adding another run right there off the bat of Alex Monson, who does deliver for me as soon as I left the door open for him. 0-2 count and another baseball that he barrels back up the middle.
It's Brett Jones, the 3rd baseman, up. 1 for 2 today. He's singled, also has an RBI. Another opportunity as Monson on the throw to 3rd was able to take 2nd, so some good base running by Trinity. Pitch outside, and it's 2-0 to Jones. So we've got a matchup of pretty much the only 2 people on the field not from Texas, a person from Nevada and another from Colorado, which, by the way, are the 2 places I'm from.
Yeah, Mountain West represent in San Antonio tonight. I guess, considering you're here, Mountain West represent in San Antonio every night. But this time on the field as well.
Something we don't usually see. D3 baseball so regional. And it shows the volume of Texas natives on both of these rosters. But a rare out-of-state matchup. Jones ahead 3-1. And he works the walk. So Jones heads to first, and it brings up the left fielder Max Milligan, native of Amarillo, Texas. Runners on 1st and 2nd, a chance to add on to a 3-1 lead. Milligan 0 for 2 today, average of just over 220 on the season. Pitch way outside, and it's 1-0.
And before he stepped into the box, it was a long look down to the 3rd base coach. He was relaying in some signals. Imagine that a bunt, probably not so much on the table already with an out on the board, but have to wonder if the runners at some point in this at-bat start on the base paths, try and get some sort of hit and run to open a gap up in the infield and just continue to pour on some runs here in the home half of the 5th.
Milligan ahead 2-0. And he takes strike 1. Noah Kelly working with 1 out on the board, runners on first and second, trying to hold this deficit. That's skied, playable, and the catch made by Arms for out number 2.
And ultimately seemed like there wasn't anything on for Trinity right there, and tough result in that at bat. As soon as it felt like they grabbed some momentum here offensively, the ball stays in the infield. Second out moves Concordia just one closer to getting out of a tough spot here in the 5th. And also, on top of all else, doesn't get a job done of advancing the runners.
So it brings up the 7-hole hitter, the catcher, Matthias Riding, who's 0 for 2 today. Swing and a miss, strike 1. There's one thing I want to bring up now that Noah Kelly's on the mound, and I have an excuse to do so, is that I'm sure his parents who are watching, and I assume also residents of Las Vegas, Nevada, are thrilled that I am pronouncing it correctly, as there is a disturbing habit by many who are not from Nevada to pronounce it Nevada. And as a local of Las Vegas, I can tell you that is just not right.
I wonder where that stems from.
I don't know. I wish it wouldn't stem from anywhere.
Wish it would just stop.
It should stop. It's terrible. Swing and a miss from Riding. A strikeout from Noah Kelly, and it leaves 2 runners stranded, but the Tigers tack on 2 more to take a 3-1 lead as we head to the 6th. Welcome back. Sun setting in San Antonio, Texas, and the Dogs are at the ballpark. You saw 1 on your screen. By my count, there are at least 2 behind home plate. As Jonathan Newman back out for the 6th inning, he throws strike 1. Landon Heil 0 for 1 today. Fouled off, and it's 0-2. Always good to see the Dogs, Luke.
Yeah, a little bark in the park on a Tuesday evening, I should say. Not the typical order of events in San Antonio. I know the Missions reserve Tuesdays for $2 Tuesdays. Good excuse to get out to the ballpark. Bark in the park, actively on the schedule. I think it's a Wednesday evening activity, though.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Is Matthias able to handle the foul tip, and there's 1 away in the top of the 6th. But a common occurrence to see different dogs here. I haven't seen Frank, Nick Lazara's French Bulldog, who's my favorite dog that comes to these games.
And it must have been a taxing weekend. Obviously was here, I believe, for all 3 games. Taking Tuesday off like his human counterpart also is. Deserved break for Frank.
1-1 pitch. Misses, and it's 2-1. The catcher Lawler up for the third time today, trying to avoid the dreaded hat trick. Struck out the last 2 times he was up. As he fouls that to left field out of play to make it 2-2. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3. Another strikeout for Jonathan Newman, and there's 2 away.
And Cole, well, I think we probably share a little bit of apprehension about the lack of runs that have been put up by this Trinity offense and this current stretch of home games. I think we can both agree that the pitching performances have more than made up for it. And right now, the way that they're shutting down this Concordia offense, hopefully this isn't another announcer's jinx in the making, feels like it's largely responsible for this little bit of a win streak that they have put themselves on. Just imagine what things would look like if both sides could operate effectively together and this offense could provide a little bit more run support. This is really a team that could look scary.
Arms waves at that to make it 2-1, but we talk about what these teams have looked like over the years for Trinity. Last year's team very pitching dominated, I believe the 8th best ERA in the country. Year before that, they scored 9.8 runs per game, but didn't pitch at all, had an ERA over 6. Still made the College World Series. And a strike called. Arm's going to have to get his bat. He flipped it thinking it was ball 4.
And you have to imagine, if you can just find the middle ground of those two things, you don't have to pitch as well as you did last year, and you imagine that you don't have to score nearly 10 runs a ball game to get to the College World Series. You can still, somewhere in there, be a very competitive team.
Arms draws a walk as Concordia has a base runner with 2 outs in the inning. But that was a large topic of conversation here on the campus of Trinity University over the offseason was, man, we really wish that those 2 things had just lined up.
I think even more so considering the departures of a lot of the arms.
Grounded past the dive of Harris into right field. Peterson loses control of it for a second, and it costs them some base runners. Now runner coming home, but he will not get there. Arms thrown out, trying to score, and that is how the inning ends. We'll see it again.
And this is why you back up positions in the infield if you're the pitcher. Newman just doing a nice job of getting into foul territory. He puts himself on the third base side. You can see him vacate right there. And Peterson struggles to get the ball in. Originally, it looked like there might be a play at second. And when this one skips away, Newman just gets to it quickly, puts a nice throw to home, and Arms very, very early on realized that he had made a mistake.
2 errors on the same play result in out number 3. Funny how that works as we head to the bottom of the 6th on Tiger Network. 3-1, Trinity has the lead. Beautiful Texas sunset here in San Antonio as the last light has faded from the baseball field. The new pitcher in for Concordia, it's Travis Brick, the sophomore from Spring, Texas, making his 4th appearance of the year. Comes in with a 1-0 record. The win against Trinity the last time these 2 teams met back in late March. As Corson Hastings in the batter's box, he takes strike one. Important job for Brick, trying to hold this deficit. Tigers were able to plate 2 in their last half inning of playing on offense. They'll try and do that again as Hastings takes ball 1. But Luke, this game important in other ways other than just getting the win. This game being played on Tuesday, the Tigers have not won on Tuesday since April of 2022. They did not win on Tuesday last year, trying to break a serious losing streak that continued the last time they played Concordia up in Austin.
And certainly, again, would like some more run support to feel a little more confident about this Tuesday night game. But now almost, I guess, a full 6.5 innings, 5.5 innings into this one, feel pretty good about where we're headed.
As Hastings rounds out to first, that's out number 1. And it'll bring up Cam Champness as the wind continuing to go in that same direction. Bit of a role reversal in terms of the weather today. Something everybody on the field has to deal with as Champness 0 for 2, hitting over 300 on the year still. He takes ball 1. But Luke, Tuesday used to be Coach Scannell's favorite day to play on the week. Said he loved Tuesday games just because they're so important for getting at large bids. You talk about Tigers 2 years ago when they made the College World Series, did not win the SCAC, got in with an at-large largely because of their ability to win these Tuesday games. Last year's team didn't do that. And talked to him about it recently. He said not his favorite day anymore. We'll see if Tuesday can get back on the good side of Coach Scannell.
Yeah, obviously it makes up a fair portion of your schedule when you look at everything. It's a decent chunk, and it's an opportunity to play teams out of conference that are still very, very healthy opponents, as this Concordia team has proven across 2 games this season. But other midweek games, of course, Mary Hardin-Baylor, Hardin-Simmons on the horizon, East Texas Baptist a couple of times. It's a pretty solid resume from those teams. On top of that, resume building, it's just a good opportunity to get a bunch of different names into the lineup, and that's another thing that we're seeing here in San Antonio in this midweek game.
3 of the 4 infielders not regular starters today as Champness rips this down the third base line. Champness digging in for 2. The throw in time, and they got him. Looked like a for sure double off the bat, but not the case, as Champness is thrown out for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, and all you can do on this one, really, if you're Cam Champness, is tip your cap to the left fielder. Heil does a nice job of getting there and cutting this one off before it can roll all the way into the corner. Straight lined that baseball, and he gets it in. Very strong throw right to the bag. Really everything needed to work together there, and they were able to make it happen.
Great play defensively by Heil as it brings up Jack Peterson now with nobody out, or nobody on, I should say, and 2 down in the inning. It's like some Fenway Park shenanigans out there. Rip a ball into the green monster, only goes for a single. Normally when you see a ball go down the line like that into the corner, it's pretty much a guaranteed 2 bases. But Concordia able to make the play defensively, trying to hold this deficit where it is. Swing and a miss from Peterson, that evens the count at 1 apiece. Two and one.
Yeah, an interesting Watching Peterson in this at bat, much further up in the box, trying to crowd the plate like we've seen in previous games this year. It's been something that's changed over the course of the season, especially recently when he's moved into that leadoff role. Takes a more normal, healthy position, not standing on that white line that represents the front edge of the batter's box, but back into that normal position that he started the year in.
And he takes ball 4. Not the man to walk as they do it with 2 out in the inning. It brings up Caleb Woodward.
And a lot of speed between these two. It's going to prove very difficult to find the third out right here in this at-bat. Woodward obviously reaching on a bunt single in his last time up. Can really threaten to leg out anything, even if it doesn't happen to leave the infield. Good opportunity with 2 outs on the board to just put real pressure on the defense right here.
And Peterson goes, a great jump. And no chance to get him there. A stolen base for Jack Peterson.
And it was a strike from Lawler, but you're right, just a better jump from Jack Peterson. And despite what was a very, very strong throw, there was absolutely no shot of gunning down the center fielder at second base.
Peterson 8 for 10 on the year in steals. Make it 9 for 11. Woodward up the middle. Swift at short makes the throw in time, and it ends the inning. A scoreless frame put up by Concordia keeps this game right where it's at. It's 3-1 Trinity on Tiger Network. Top of the 7th in San Antonio. Jonathan Newman back on the mound protecting a 2-run lead as the first pitch is grounded to Harris at second. Throw to first in time. 1 down quickly in the top of the 7th.
Newman continuing to do what he does best, attacking the strike zone frequently. He hasn't been as overwhelming as some of these other right-handed arms out of this Trinity bullpen, but he's just located so well, and he's relied very heavily on this defense behind him more often than not. They have not disappointed.
Gomez pulls back the bunt for ball 1. He's 0 for 2, reached on an error the last time he was up. Strike called.
But another big reason, and Cole, you can let me know if you agree or not, regarding Newman's success on the mound this year. He's a guy that's provided a lot of innings in relief, but largely hasn't gone more than 1 or 2 times through any order. I feel like opposing hitters haven't had a ton of opportunity to face off against him second, definitely not third times in a single game.
As Gomez hits that into center field for a base knock. Only the 3rd hit of the game notched by Concordia, and they have a runner aboard with 1 down. And it brings up a pinch hitter. It's Brandon Gons up. Tapped foul. Goins, a senior from Temple, Texas. He's made 25 starts on the year. Coming off the bench in this one to face Jonathan Newman. He's pinch hitting for Colby Christian. So a bit of an unexpected move, replacing your 3-hole hitter. Especially considering the success he had against this Trinity team in their last meeting. 2 home runs in that game.
And hard to speculate exactly why, but I think more than anything else, you're trying to find a way to string together hits.
Grounded to Hastings. Throw to first, not in time. But Hastings able to get the leadoff runner from first base, and there's 2 away.
For Concordia, it's currently a 3 sitting under the H on the scoreboard here in San Antonio. But all 3 of those base knocks coming across different frames. Scored 1 in the first inning, but relied on a couple of different factors there, including a hit by pitch that got the leadoff runner on. Outside of that, offense has mostly been stagnant for each of these squads. Right now, trying to find a way to string together multiple hits and cut into this 2-run Trinity lead.
Swing and a miss from another pinch hitter. It's Mason Vasquez, the sophomore, making his 16th appearance of the year. Hitting 189 coming into this game. Well, I guess the old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I guess adding on to that, if it's broken, you should probably do something about it. And I think that's what Concordia has in mind right now, only notching 3 hits in the game so far. It's both the 3-hole hitter and the cleanup hitter out of this game. Newman ahead 0-2. And it's low for ball 1. Check on the runner, but back safely. Runner goes. Throw from righting, gonna be close, but it gets away. So a stolen base for Concordia. And the next run in scoring position for the Tornadoes.
Probably the best time that they could do it, because now 2's on the board and 1 strike gets Jonathan Newman out of the inning here.
Two-two pitch. Fouled off, we'll do it again.
Give themselves a couple of offerings with a runner in scoring position now.
A big at-bat for Concordia, as they've been down for the last full inning. Trying to change that in this inning. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Newman leaves the runner at second stranded as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Trinity still up 3-1 on Tiger Network. New pitching for Concordia. It's Ryan Bailey making his 9th appearance of the year. Comes in with a record of 2-1, an ERA of 2.2. So he fires ball 1 to the 3-hole hitter Colt Harris. You see the whip of Ryan Bailey. Very impressive. .61 on the year. And it's indicative of what a lot of these Concordia pitchers have done all year. They have the 15th best ERA in the country. 13-13 record, and it's largely due to that staff.
Yeah, and obviously we talked about the results earlier on the broadcast against Mary Hardin-Baylor, against East Texas Baptist, and against, I think that last series was UT Dallas. 0-9 in those 9 games.
Harris grounds it to third and is thrown out for out number 1.
But in all of those results, they were relatively low-scoring ball games. They lost a handful of one-run affairs, a couple more where things were certainly within the realm of possibility. But much like a St. Thomas team that we got the chance to see in SCAC play this past weekend, this pitching staff just simply hasn't gotten the run support that you'd really like to see at this level of baseball.
Talk about St. Thomas. They had a few great starters there, including Landon Murray, who's one of the best pitchers in the conference. I believe he still left game 1 of the series against Trinity with an ERA under 2. So pitches in there to make it 1-on-1 on Alex Monson. But Concordia hoping they can hold this deficit and eventually get some run support. They did it in the game on Tuesday, late in March against Trinity. Game was 5-2. Tigers had the lead, but eventually the help came, winning that game 8-7, a rare high-scoring affair. As Monson, it looks like, calls timeout. Steps back into the batter's box with a 1-2 count. 1 out on the board for the Tornadoes. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3. And there's 2 away in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, and it looked like when Alex Monson took time right there, the first move was trying to clear something from his eye. I believe that's why the home plate umpire took a step off to the side with him, just trying to check in, make sure that everything was right. Tough job to step into the box in a 1-2 count and try and swing it when you can't see right. And certainly imagine that played an impact in the end result of that at bat.
As Brett Jones now up to hit, 1 for 2, walked the last time he was up. Hey, Luke, hitting a baseball is hard when both of your eyes are working. So when one is not to optimal performance, I would assume that it gets that much harder.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played, but I mean, there were a host of times when I was at the plate just guessing practically. And when you can throw in issues with depth perception, I can't imagine it's all that much fun.
As Jones fouls that off to make it 1-2. Now they say hitting the baseball, one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. They rank like the positions. I think goalie for most sports is up there as the hardest, particularly in soccer. The net's pretty big, so I get that. But I think any position in baseball, one of the hardest. That pitch is a way to even the count at 2-2. But I think catcher probably ranks first on the list.
Yeah, it's up there. It's a physically demanding and taxing role. I think a couple things about this one make it a little easier. Sun going down, the wind's blowing. It's been a very beautiful night here in South Texas. I think one of the other kind of unsung things, playing on turf, a real big help. I mean, middle of the day it can heat up, and when you have all that gear on, makes things pretty difficult, but also a lot easier on the knees. It makes it a little bit easier in anticipating how that ball moves, but I feel like it's been a while since we've seen this particular backstop area come into play here in San Antonio. It's a fun one. And we had some weird baseball over the weekend, but none of it involved this big brick backstop. A lot of space back there, and you would imagine that it's more often than not enough to score some runs, but gosh, there are some wicked ricochets off that wall that we've seen in games in pretty jaw-dropping fashion.
As Jones fouls another pitch off, he continues to work a long at bat. Yeah, we saw it in a neutral game, DeSales and Southwestern. DeSales thought, well, it got by. Okay, we're just going to score that run from third. Not so fast. Comes directly off the wall right back to the catcher, and I believe that ended the inning for the Bulldogs.
That might have ended the game for the Bulldogs.
Did it really?
There was a game that certainly ended on a ricochet off of the brick, but it might have been a Trinity game in the coming days after the fact.
So Jones rips that to left center, but the catch is made to end the inning. We head to the top of the 8th. Concordia still looking for some run support. We'll see if they can get it when we come back. Top of the 8th, Jonathan Newman back on the mound, protecting a 2-run lead still. As he fires strike 1. Fouled off. Still going. A very long strike to make it 0-2 is Chris Moreau. In the batter's box, he has the only RBI of the day for the Tornadoes. Hit in the air to right. Woodward drifting back on the warning track, but makes the catch just short.
Yeah, incredibly long strike and then an incredibly long out. The wind has died down here just a little bit in San Antonio. I wouldn't say it's blowing particularly hard in any one direction, and that ball just kept carrying and carrying towards the wall that's shorter out in right field. Thought it might have a chance to just blow out, and in the last second, Woodward reaches up and very nearly takes that one off the top of the wall.
First pitch inside edge for Jonathan Newman, gets strike 1.
Cole, a lot of talk in the last half inning about the success of this Concordia staff from a pitching perspective. But with the recent outings of this Trinity staff, makes me wonder where they sit in those same rankings. Haven't taken a look in recent weeks, and while I'm sure it's not in that same territory, big question.
Grounded to second, Harris handles it and throws to first for out number 2.
Big question is largely outside of the early portion of this year when Trinity played the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. There was a 2-game stretch in that 4-game series where they gave up 35 runs. Outside of that, most of the numbers surrendered have been very, very understandable and realistic. I think that certainly has to hurt where they sit currently, but I would like to know outside of those 2 games what things would look like.
Yeah, I wonder. There were some football scores put up in those 2 games as another pinch hitter, Efren Sanchez Jr. up. By the way, shout out to Samuel Ortiz, who was the last batter. Didn't get to mention his name. But Trinity 8th in ERA last season. Not the case this year when you give up 35 runs in 2 games. That'll happen. But you're right. They've certainly figured some things out on the pitching staff. Of course, losing Harrison DeRoe and Jack Martinez and Cade McGahan. We did the math early in the year. Those 3 names combined with Jack Schmidt accounting for a large percentage of the innings pitched last season. But guys like Jonathan Newman have settled into these new roles and done well. As that strike 3, Newman gets him looking. As we head to the bottom of the 8th, Tigers still up 3-1. They'll come up to bat when we come back on Tiger Network. New arm in for Concordia. It's Mason Bradenberger, the junior from Clifton, Texas, making his 9th appearance of the year. Comes in with an impressive ERA of 2.6. His last appearance pitched 4.2 innings against UT Dallas. 4 strikeouts, 3 runs, but only 1 of them earned. Ended up taking the loss in that game. As he faces the bottom of the order here. We're getting there. Max Milligan hitting 6th today. Trying to add on. Tigers have been up 3-1 for the last 2.5 innings. Trying to add on and get their first Tuesday win in over a year. A strike called, make it 0-2. And does not get the call. 1-2 pitch. Went around, that's strike 3, 1 down in the inning.
Yeah, and certainly a competitive miss on that last offering, but a little overly eager from the catcher. He's ready to throw it down, had to wait just 1 more pitch. And tough break for Milligan right there, who's at in this extreme disadvantage. New arm into the game. Real funky delivery, lefty sidearm, really trying to get that ball moving away from Milligan, who is tasked with trying to see him for the first time of all Trinity hitters.
Matthias Riding slaps that foul to make it 1-1. Yeah, somebody had to bite the bullet on that, and it just so happened to be Max Milligan. Now 1 down in the inning. Should note that a defensive substitution has been made. Efren Sanchez Jr., who pinch hit in the last inning, now at catcher. He was the one who was ready to throw to third, thinking it was strike 3 in the last at-bat. Riding fouls that back to even the count at 2 apiece. Trinity coming into this game, number 16 nationally. Grounded foul. Some debate whether they would rise or fall after their sweep against St. Thomas, but victories by not a large margin for a team that has been struggling lately. End up staying right where they were the previous week at 16 in the Division3.com poll.
I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. Clearly a team that's not putting up as many runs as they should.
Strike 3 as Riding represents the second out of the inning.
But on the other side of it, a staff that is really figuring things out and arguably pitching as well as anyone in the country. Maybe a stretch saying that, but when you look at it in the context of this region and this conference that puts up so many runs, to shut teams down, they've had a host of zeros put on the board this year, a couple of shutouts, and a lot more one-run performances like the one that they're pitching at the moment.
Hastings takes that one, and it takes him to first base. Looks like it was right on the calf. And he's feeling that as he hobbles over to first.
Yeah, and Hastings, a guy that's dealt with some injury on this campaign, and I know it's been a leg issue that's plagued him. Not a pitch that you likely want to take at this stage in the ball game, but hard to get out of the way of, and I'm sure he'll live with standing over at first now.
So it brings up Cam Champness. Champness 1 for 3 today. He doubled the last time he was up, or singled the last time he was up, I should say. Tried to turn it into a double, but was thrown out at second. Fouls that into the screen to even the count at 1-1. But Hastings, very important for the Tigers that he doesn't get hurt because of all the outfield injuries. He is their 5th emergency outfielder. So you have the 3 that are out there today, Milligan, Peterson, and Woodward. And Jarrett Phillips. You're wondering why Kyle Russa ran a few days ago for Trinity. It's because they can't run Phillips anymore because they don't want to risk him getting hurt. And then I believe Pierce Matthews is still available, even though we haven't seen him lately. But then it's Corson Hastings. Normally a first baseman, he would play outfield if they needed him to. Bluffs like he's going to go. That gets away, and now he will go as Hastings takes second to put a run in scoring position.
Coach Scannell comes out of the dugout, asks the home plate umpire just to have a conversation with the field ump. I think maybe they feel as if Cam Champness wore this baseball.
I was wondering about that from our angle. It looked like it skipped off something, or thought it was Champness. Umpire coming back and shaking his head.
Yeah,
and Coach Scannell hearing the news.
Heard when he departed this meeting, quote, didn't hit him. So that was, in fact, what they were checking. One way or another, though, have to imagine that I'm happy with the fact Corson Hastings does get to advance those 90 feet nonetheless. Worst case scenario there is they come back and announce a foul ball or something of the sort.
2-2 pitch. Inside ball 3. But Luke, hats off to you getting a direct quote. That's just good journalism.
I had the headset on and everything. I don't know. I'm just locked in today, Cole.
3-2 pitch to Champness. Outside ball 4, and Champness will take first base anyways, as the Tigers have 2 aboard with 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay, but ultimately 9-hole hitter does his job of turning this lineup over. Jack Peterson will have another opportunity, maybe the last of the evening for this Trinity offense, to add a little bit more insurance as they head into the 9th inning.
Peterson, the leadoff hitter, 2 for 3 today, walked the last time he was up. He's also doubled twice. As they throw the second, Hastings dives into third safely. Or not, they call him out. Joey Deering, the third base coach, flashing the safe sign. He was confident. The umpire disagrees, and that is how the inning ends. Concordia down to their last 3 outs when we come back for the top of the 9th. It's 3-1 Trinity. Top of the 9th in San Antonio, Trinity up 3-1. Jonathan Newman back out there trying to earn the save as he fires ball 1. But Luke, we were talking about a few innings ago what this Trinity ERA would be like if those Whitewater games did not happen. Of course they did. We're not saying that they didn't. But outside of those 2 games where they gave up 30-plus runs, what would the ERA be? And you did some math.
Yeah, coming into this game, and of course after this one it's also going to drop, but coming into this game, staff ERA, this entire team's posted a 4.69, which again is very respectable in the context of Region 10, where a lot of runs are put up. But those 2 games, of the 35 runs that were scored by Wisconsin Whitewater, 31 of them were earned. And if you take those off the board, this staff ERA drops from a 4.69 to a 3.36. So over 1 run per game better just because of those 2 games removed. And, of course, not fair to assume that all 31 can be taken away. But if you pitch just a little bit cleaner in those and put up respectable numbers, you imagine that this staff ERA is still dropped by a considerable number.
That is in the neighborhood of what they had last season when they were ranked 8th. Concordia coming in with an ERA of 3.41. Very good, and we've seen that tonight. That's 15th best in the country. So both of these teams, very good staffs. As Ethan Clark, see him in your screen, getting that baseball and handing it back to the ump. So we've seen him do that a few times, trying to get the ball. Newman in a 3-2 count with nobody out. The ump just needed to get that loose baseball by his feet. We're all good now as Arms finds himself in a full count. High ball 4. And a leadoff walk, not what you want to see protecting a 2-run lead.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Newman, not a guy that goes through opposing offenses multiple times. Imagine that can begin to be a problem. Arms stepped back into the batter's box, had another opportunity to see Newman, and ultimately won in that job right there.
Newman's ERA dropped to .42 coming into this inning, but he'll be responsible for the runner on first base. Top of the 9th, we'll get a new arm in for Trinity. A pitching change in San Antonio as we take a break on Tiger Network. new arm for the Tigers. It's Will Hellings. Comes in with a win-loss record of 1-0 and multiple saves on the season as his first pitch misses away for ball one. So the Tigers in a 2-run lead. They turn to their closer to shut the door, needing all 3 outs in the ninth to get it done with the runner already on first.
And we've already seen one of the Trinity right-handed relievers in Jonathan Newman in this game. Now we get to see one with a little bit more velo.
Check swing from Segaris didn't go. And a quick 3-0 count from Hellings. That's all numbers on your screen. 5 walks handed out by Hellings all year. And number 6 not coming quite yet, strike 1. Fouled off, and he battles back to make it full.
Of course, anytime that Will Helling steps onto the mound, have to also add the disclaimer that with such a hard-throwing righty on the mound, chance that someone runs into something ticks up just a little bit.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Foul tip into the catcher's glove. And there's one down in the ninth.
You can put barrel on baseball, it can certainly fly, but the tough task is putting barrel on baseball. 3-0 count, and if you're standing in the batter's box, you know what's coming. 3 consecutive fastballs from Hellings right there, just could not catch up to it. Elite stuff from the righty from Trinity.
One-0 pitch. Fouled off by Julian Swift, the leadoff man, 0 for 2 today. Still hitting .346 on the year. He represents the tying run. Leadoff walk handed out by Jonathan Newman, who left this game. No earned runs allowed for Newman in his outing. Hellings trying to keep it that way. Fouled off, and it's 1-2.
A nice breaking ball right there. Started the hands pretty early, did Swift. Recognized the spin on that one, did everything he could to hold up, and ultimately looked like that bat broke the plane, caught just enough of the baseball.
Outside, 2-2. Going back to what you were saying earlier, Luke, we have seen a few home runs off Hellings this year. He throws it so hard, it can be easy to barrel it out of the yard. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off, and we'll do it again.
But especially when that breaking ball and secondary stuff is working for Hellings, it is very, very difficult to hit against him. Just keeps guys off balance because it's such a contrast between the speed of his fastball and his breaking ball.
Swift continues to work in this count, doing everything he can to get on base and extend the game for Concordia. They've already come back against Trinity once this year. As that's hit up the middle, a base knock for Swift. Runner stays at second, and it's a 1-out knock to put 2 on for Concordia.
Yeah, it looks like a breaking ball. That's not a very bad delivery from Hellings right here. Maybe stays in the zone just a little bit too much. Doesn't necessarily finish underneath that zone. And a sweet piece of hitting right there for Concordia to keep their hopes alive in the 9th inning as they try and battle back.
Now Aaron Gomez up with 2 on. Takes ball 1 on the check swing. But what a job from Swift. Started out 1-2, just fouls off multiple pitches. Able to get the base knock to put him on first base. In the dirt, 2-0. Concordia, for the first time in a while, finally having some traction offensively. Hellings just 2 outs away, though.
4th hit of the game, but still 4th inning where they found a hit. Haven't pieced things together. I'm sure Hellings is going to continue to make that a difficult task to accomplish.
Arms on second, Swift on first. There's strike 1.
And a big spot right there as he's able to hit that inside corner down and in on the hands of the lefty. 2-0 count. Again, knowing the fastball is going to come, still not a ton that can happen with it.
Strike 2. So Hellings has already battled back from a 3-0 count. Battles back from 2-0 to even it at 2. And time called. So you hear the Trinity Tower in the distance. We are at 8:30 on the night. Time on this game so far, just 2.5 hours, as third base coach and Gomez having a quick chat. So Riding and Hellings will do the same.
I'm sure Riding just trying to keep Hellings focused on this task at hand. Don't let this disruption to the rhythm change anything. Can you continue to come right at this hitter, even in this count, feel like the advantage goes to Hellings on the mound.
Grounded just foul down the first base line. And we'll do it again. It's got to be a little frustrating for Will Hellings. He's gotten to some 2-strike counts, but these Concordia hitters just working it. Continuing to extend ABs. As Gomez fouls off another pitch. 2-2 pitch. Hit up the middle. It's a base hit. It could score a run. It won't. They'll hold Armes at third, and the bases are loaded in the top of the 9th.
Just another great at-bat. A couple of consecutive ones where Hellings has gotten into 2-strike scenarios. But these Concordia hitters do not give up despite that fact. Battling pitches off, living to see something else, and ultimately prevailing now. Huge threat here in the 9th inning with the bases loaded.
First inning of the game with multiple hits for the Tornadoes as Hellings locates the breaking ball for strike 1 on Brandon Goins. He's 0 for 1 today. Came in as a pitch hitter. Fouled off as he'll take a bit of a walk.
We'll have to see on the replay, but based on the sound out here at the ballpark, I'm not sure that got any bat. And considering the fact that he dropped said bat, there's a good chance this one caught him on the hands.
And we'll see it here. And yeah, right on the hands. So taking a well-deserved break. Swung, so it's strike 2.
And it looks like he does have some sort of protection on that front hand and wrist. Pretty important because it didn't look like that got in on the knob of the bat. It more so looked like it got his wrist. I'm a Texas Rangers fan myself. Scary sight as Josh Young broke his hand on something similar yesterday, and he does the same thing again in the next offering.
That's what it sounded like. It's more of a thud versus a clink, and that's strike 3.
Yeah, didn't hit the bat again.
So an odd strikeout, and there's 2 away in the 9th. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, really 2 consecutive plays. You can see the baseball clearly get away. I'm not entirely sure what happened, as none of the Concordia coaching staff are making appeals, and the runners also didn't seem to break once they saw that baseball get by. Maybe a little bit of confusion from the players themselves, and none of the coaches trying to get them to advance and take advantage of what was ultimately just a passed ball off the body.
Goes down as strike 3, a strikeout for Hellings. 2 away. Bases still loaded for the Tornadoes, only down 2. As Mason Vasquez comes up in a big spot, to say the least. Concordia down to their final out. Tying run on second. Run to give them the lead waits at first. Outside, ball 1.
And just important for Hellings to get ahead in this at-bat. Doesn't want to work from behind, especially with those bases loaded in such a close game.
Swing and a miss. Strike 1 out ahead of it.
And you imagine it's the MO from this Concordia offense. Get that foot down early and be ready to hit the fastball.
We'll see if they get one. 1-1 pitch. In for strike 2. Tornadoes down to their last strike.
And he's not been able to overwhelm hitters in this half inning. With the way his breaking ball is moving, it hasn't mattered all that much yet.
Foul tip into the glove, strike 3, and that's the ball game. The Tigers get their first win on Tuesday since April of 2022 as they split the year-long series with Concordia 1-1, a 3-1 victory for Trinity.
And things maybe got scary there for a split second, Cole. It was one of the first times all year that Will Hellings hasn't exclusively overwhelmed people with his fastball. Concordia doing a very, very impressive job here in the top of the 9th, doing everything they could to stay alive, fighting pitches off. A couple of hits in this inning for the first time all day. Hellings finding a way to adapt, adjust, and rely on his breaking ball, and finally he's able to get the job done.
Concordia leaves them loaded in the top of the 9th. The Cardiac Cats strike again, bring their record up to 18-7. They have now won 5 in a row as they'll be on the road. Play Austin College up in Sherman, continue SCAC play. We hope to see you 1 week from now, another Tuesday game against McMurray. That'll be here at Trinity University, broadcasted on the Tiger Network. But that's it from us in San Antonio. 3-1 Trinity takes down Concordia for a Tuesday victory, and how sweet it must be for Tim Scannell. For everyone in the control room, for everybody working on camera, particularly Adam Mann, and of course my partner Luke Terry, I'm Cole Isaacson saying so long from San Antonio.